All right. And I think we are ready to go. So I'm going to start off with kind of just introducing myself a little bit and kind of what sparked me to have this discussion today. But I was starting a project on a film, and I really wanted individuals who were between the age ranges of 18 to 26 with foster care experience. And I was getting a lot of feedback about some older individuals who were maybe 27, 28, or even like in their early 30s that really expressed to me that they run into opportunities all the time where they're so limited to give their feedback on their lived experience because of their age. And I know that's been a thing in my state for a few different types of policies or work that we do here. And so it really just sparked me to have this conversation. Is this happening in other states? If so, what are you guys thinking about it? What are your states doing that kind of you feel like shouldn't be done that way, done a different way? What action steps can we get from today's meeting? So that's kind of what sparked this conversation. And I'm going to introduce myself when we get to the introduction slide, but that's what sparked it. So now we're all here. Welcome. Thank you guys for attending. We're going to talk about really how our experience has no expiration date and how it should be that way in all the work that we do going forward. So I wanted to start off with some discussion, regulations. So just really simple stuff, being respectful when others are sharing, even if your opinions are differing, being supportive of one another, using the chat option to alleviate any interruptions, muting yourself when not speaking, and also, again, turning your video or camera off when you don't want to be recorded. So we'll go right into introductions. I'd like to ask everyone to give their name and their age, the state in which they were in care, and if they live somewhere else now, you can talk about that as well. You know, kind of talk about how long you were in care and what brought you to this discussion and what you're kind of looking to get out of it. So I'll start us off, and then I'll popcorn it to Natalie, and then I'll let her kind of look at the room and pick someone else, and we'll just keep going like that. So my name is Tamara, and I am from Kentucky. I was born and raised here, but I hope to leave soon. No offense to the state. I just think I have wishes to live near a beach. So, but I am 25, and I spent, 9 years in care, I think. I went in when I was 9 and I exited at 18. I did not do the extended foster care program in my state, so I didn't do like independent living and get all that. That was a personal decision for me. What brought me to this discussion, I kind of told you guys earlier, but just noticing all the feedback I was getting about how opportunities for advocacy and system change are really cut off when you're at a certain age with lived experience. And what I hope to get from today's discussion is just some action steps about how we can address this and how we can continue as a group of people with lived experience or as allies, how we can continue to create system change, even if we feel like the system is aging us out of advocacy per se, if you want to put it into terms that way. So that's me and why I'm here today, and I will let Natalie go.
Thank you. Hey y'all, my name is Natalie Clark. I am 22, 23, but also almost 24, like next month. So I'm gonna say I'm basically 24. I'm gonna call that one. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I spent about 6 years in the foster care system. And what brought me to this discussion was I aged out of advocacy when I turned 22, and somehow that carried on throughout even working for the system. So I've also noticed that our advocacy gets silenced when we start working in positions like such as myself and T. So I really want to figure out why we're being silenced when we're finally able to voice ourselves. So that's what brought me to the discussion, and I do use she, her pronouns. Something that I'd like to get from today's discussion is just some action points and some steps that we can all do to work together to prevent our states from seeing us in the way they see us now. I think the older we get, the wiser we get. So I think that should be supported by our states. So I will go ahead and popcorn over to Michael.
Did you say me? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. I said you.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael D. Davis Thomas. I'm 24. I'll be 25 on the 28th. So coming shortly. I spent approximately a little bit over 11 years in care in many different facets, starting from juvenile to being a temporary ward of the state, dual ward, to foster care, then aging out. But uh, looking at the last two, what brought you to this discussion? I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued, because I'm getting to be what you would consider an older person in this advocacy realm, and I faced a lot of stigma and different things on this specific topic, and having that expiration date and what have you. And I feel like it's been lucky that I've been well connected and I'm always networking. So, but I feel like if I didn't continue to do that, I don't know what it would look like. So I think that's what brought me to this conversation. And the last question, what is something you'd like to I'd like to just understand other people's point of view, and see, what it looks like from other people's point of view, and as a group, because I believe as alumni, as people of care, as allies, us being united, and taking on conversations like this makes it better, makes it, and also prevents it from happening, so yeah. And am I passing it? Okay, let's see. I'm passing it to Mary. Oh, and I'm from Michigan. Sorry about that.
I think if she was trying, she's muted because it was kind of lighting up, but it's still muted.
I think Mary's driving. I think it might be some connection and signal issues going on. Maybe we want to try and pop over to someone until Mary's signal's back.
Yes. Yeah, that works. Michael, did you want to pick someone else, or you want Natalie or myself to do so?
Oh, I see Mary left and rejoined. Do you have service again, Mary?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry. Tamara, I'm hoping it's okay that I join this. I'll just go ahead and introduce myself, and then if it's not okay, tell me to leave. My name's Mary Carpenter. I am most recently I was the child welfare administrator in Kentucky, and I'm an executive advisor in our commissioner's office. So I really just wanted to be here to hear your perspective on this. I thought it was an interesting topic, and something that I think, we definitely value the voice of lived experience. And so I do think that we tend to gravitate towards youth in care. And so I thought that this just was an interesting perspective that I thought it would be great for me to listen in on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here because I do think it not only takes the group of alumni or current individuals in care, but it also takes all of those who are working in the system to mobilize together around conversations like this in order to implement action steps, if we want to call on that. So thank you for being here. Absolutely. I love that. I don't know if you can see, I don't know if you're still driving or if you can see who's in the room. If you want to popcorn it to someone else, or Natalie or myself can do so.
Can you call on someone? I'm driving. I'm still a ways away.
I'll let you go, Natalie.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and have Eb. And if I pronounced that incorrect, let me know.
It's Evie, actually.
Evie!
Hi.
Of course I did. I was like, it's 50-50. We're taking our shot.
All lowercase. I had the dots in there for a little bit, and then I just sort of remove them. I'm Evie. Hi. I am also not actually a Foster alumni. I'm 30. I lived in Kentucky for a really long time and now live in Rhode Island. If you want to be near the beach, you should move here. So I never spent time in care, but I am currently a doctoral student in anthropology at Princeton. And I, before the pandemic a million years ago, spent about a year in Kentucky in most of 2019 and part of 2020 before the pandemic hit, doing participant observation research with former foster youth and with a bunch of folks at the cabinet and two of those sort of lobbying organizations that handle both family and like care questions in Louisville and for the rest of the state. So I was really interested in what are the sort of, the first chapter of my dissertation is basically what are the politics under which foster youth get to talk about their lived experiences. So I met Tamara while I was in Kentucky doing research, and I've been really happy to get to know her over the last couple of years. And she told me this was happening, and I thought it would be interesting to sit in. I'm fascinated to hear from foster youth about how you think you're represented, because I have my own opinions after many years of thinking about it, but I obviously don't speak for any of you. So that's what I'm here. I am mostly here just out of curiosity and as a support person for Tamara, and I'm excited to meet all of you. I think some of you got sent an email about me today, so I'll probably be following up with you in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Do you want to pass it along to somebody?
Oh yeah, Kaylee.
Hi, my name's Kaylee Martin, and I'm 16 years old, and I am from Kentucky. I have 4 years in care, and I'm still in care. So my reason to be here is because I feel like the state silences foster youth, foster kids' voices so much, and they truly do not, I feel like, listen to what we have to say, or there would be so many changes. And something I want to get from today's conversation is action steps and how we could possibly better the system and maybe get them to listen. And I will popcorn it to Malay.
Hi, I'm Malay. I am 19. I also live in Kentucky. I have had 16 years of time in care, and I'm honestly just here to support Tamara and see what she's created, and I just wanted to see what she's done. And I just wanted to, something that brought me here was just, I wanted to hear from everybody and see what their ideas stuff were. Has Kylie already gone? Okay, I'll go to you, Kylie.
Hi. Oh, wait. I had fear in my throat. My name's Kylie, and I am 21. I am also from Dirt Road, Kentucky. There's nothing here. There's literally 2 trees and some cornfields. And I am here today because I want to hear different perspectives. I work with the Voices of the Commonwealth, which I hear a lot of the same stories and I hear a lot of the same things, but I'm always open to new opportunities and new voices. And I just like to hear different perspectives. What I want from today is a little bit of clarity. Even if it's from me, even if it's from you, I can always learn something from other individuals. And I think that's what life's about. I heard you guys talk a lot about what's going on in the system or even after the system. So it's like, I can say that too, but it's like we're all here for, even though if we're here for different purposes, it all works in the grand scheme for better things, regardless if this seems like it's small or there's not a lot of people here. It'll definitely make an impact on somebody or something. So yeah, I'm Kylie. Nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Well, thank you, first of all, everybody, again for coming. I know Kylie mentioned we're all here for, different reasons that brought us here and also looking for different things to get out of this discussion. So I'm hoping that you guys can get something from today, even if it's not exactly what you came here to get. You might get something new, something might be sparked. So awesome that you guys are here. I hope we have a good discussion. Thank you again, Natalie, for helping me co-host. Awesome. Love her to death. Met her in DC a few years back, and we're very passionate people. So just want to get started with today's agenda. So we did our little regulations, we did some introductions. I'm going to pop 2 questions as guided discussion questions to kind of get you guys thinking about the topic for today. And you guys can answer those out loud. You can think about them in your head. You can put them in the chat, and I'll let Natalie monitor that. However you want to do it, and that will get you thinking about today's topic. And then we'll do an open discussion where we're using the Jamboard, putting up little post-it notes of our thoughts and our action steps, and Natalie's going to facilitate that, and we're going to just kind of talk about the topics or the things that you guys are bringing up there. And then with that, I'm hoping that we leave here with some type of action step or some type of idea or goal that we'd like to just take, if we take it back to our states individually, or if we decide we want to keep doing something like this and we continue to meet to try and make a change somewhere, that would be great too. So really it's kind of feeling each other out, getting our ideas and opinions, and seeing where that goes from there. So some of the guided discussion questions that I want you guys to think about, and again, you can use the little option to raise your hand if you want to answer, if you'd like to say it out loud, or you can put it in the chat again. But some of the things I want you guys to think about is, does your state have regulations or restrictions on the age limit for advocates? So a lot of us are called on, or we've applied to positions where we're able to leverage our lived experience to make systematic change. And a lot of those opportunities require you to be within a certain age range. So when you hit a certain age range, whether it's 22, 23, 25, you're automatically pushed out, and sometimes it's hard to get opportunities like that again. So think about, does your state have that type of regulation or restriction, even with benefits, not just necessarily advocacy, but like, benefits for older foster alum or something like that? And then does it seem like once you hit a certain age limit that no one was interested in hearing your story or having you use your experience and leverage that to make systematic change? So I really want to not be talking too much because there's a whole lot that I could say. Obviously, I have my own perspective, but I really want to hear others. So I'm going to leave it to y'all, and y'all just take it away.
Michael, you can go ahead.
So I'm in the state of Michigan. So there's no real like age limit restriction. There's just a reference to whenever you do an experience or speak or become a part of a committee or whatever, they refer to you as a youth. So I have to clarify that, I'm no longer a youth, and I can't speak to that capacity truly, and it seems like, for me in the state of Michigan, when that's clarified, there's like a little awe, or what have you. Like they don't want to recognize, the years of expertise in this field, because I'm still in tune with what my foster care system looks like in the state of Michigan, because I'm actively working with youth and still working with my state. But it seems as though like they don't want to recognize that you're surpassed that point, if that makes sense, so, and then I just want to make sure the other thing with that is we don't really, along with the regulations, for age, we don't really, I noticed when I was doing my podcast and interviewing some people that a lot of people said that they have rules such as making sure that anytime a lived experience person does something of any age, that they're paid for it, that they're recognized for that time and what have you. And that's between those two things, there, that's not even happening. That's not even a thing. Like, they expect you to do something regardless what age you are, and just take it as it is. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that it seems like there's a little bit of similarity between where I am and where you are. And I know that Michigan's pretty more north than, Kentucky is, but we often talk about how even when we are the ages of 21 plus, we're still getting called youth. And that's something I really try to steer away from myself. That's why you'll hear me say like foster alum or someone, or like a lived experience expert or someone like that. But we get that a lot from agencies that we work with here. What about you, Natalie? I know you're out in Utah.
Yeah, so in my state, it's really complicated because our restriction, of course, funding wise, we can't give any funding past the age of 22. So when you're asking a young person to participate and travel halfway across the state for a state advisory meeting, we're not willing to pay them for their time, or we have advocacy opportunities that they can't take time away from work for. That really does restrict them. And the advocacy participation, as far as holding office on our youth council, does have an age restriction of 23 as well. But even furthermore, I think one of our biggest slights here is we don't keep in contact with our young people once they leave. So whether you're 18, 19, 20, 21, doesn't really matter, because if you don't stay in contact with us, we don't keep consistent communication with you. And that's what COVID really showed us, was it showed us where those cracks are lying, right? Because with that funding, all of a sudden funding was available to people 25, 26, 27, young people that we have not seen, spoken to, or even thought of in years in our state. And so, they completely want to miss the entire year without getting that funding, and their voice has not been heard, right? Because we don't have that connection. So I'm sure majority don't even know it was a resource or an additional option for them. So it does seem like once you hit an age limit, no one's interested in using your experience. And I think that age is that 22 in my state. So once, because that's the age that cuts off for transition to adult living services in my state. So once they don't have the obligation to support you into adult living, I feel like that's kind of where that disconnect came. Because what's our obligation to you? If we don't have an obligation to make sure you're okay, then we're not going to focus on you. It's kind of the vibe from my state, kind of.
I think that's really powerful what you're saying. I get two things that I'm really, really resonating with from that is the revelation that COVID made. All, like you said, all of a sudden there was funding for benefits or for whatever it was for people who were over the age of 22. And that was crazy. And now all of a sudden it's cut off again, right? It's, we are running out here in Kentucky. And I think we can all speak to the fact that just because you're 22 or 23 doesn't mean that you don't need help anymore or assistance. So, even people that are not living with child welfare experience still need assistance at older ages. And so that's a revelation for sure. And then also, that falling through that crack of, we don't have an obligation to you anymore. So bye, like there you are on your own.
I would like to piggyback off of that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I have an opinion about what you guys are saying, and I have to agree 1,001%, because it's kind of sad that if they're not making money off of you in some way, then it just is you don't matter anymore, and that shows. It's kind of sad, but it kind of prepped me for the real world to show me how it was going to be, because the real world is like that. As kids, they make money off of us. We have insurance, and they take from us by giving us all these things when we're children. And then as an adult, it's okay, find your own insurance, find your own way to get now you got to find, if you don't have a car, you're SOL. If you don't know family, you're SOL. So I really don't understand why the cutoff is even after 21. Yeah, they help you a little bit, but then after that, it's whatever, nobody, unless, even when people's parents die, they have some type of support. So the fact that, it's hard to reach out and get that extra help and Just like, you just word 18 to 21 is insane to me. And not to mention, I've spoke about, being in college for 4 years. Yeah, you spend those 4 years either working a full-time job or being in college. And what I think is kind of ridiculous about that is like that imagine being 18, you've been locked up for years, and then you go straight into college. You don't really have free time. You're in college, you're also working a job. It's like, I don't know, like, yes, it teaches you responsibility, but you really don't have time to live. And I think that's a very, I don't know, it's just very frustrating. But I wanted to piggyback off of what you guys were saying and to say that I agree. I think it's just a little odd.
I want to read some of the chat really quick before we do. I know a couple people have their hands up, but I know that Kaylee said, to answer the first one, most is from 16 to 23, even with benefits, they stop after 22. And for the second question, she's not really sure. She's 16, but she knows that where she is, some people, I have to read this, hold on. I'm still going. Some people mistake me as, uneducated where she's 16, so they don't listen to her story. And that's a thing too. I agree with that, is that even with that age range of 16 to 23, they're not taking the younger advocates as serious. But then as soon as they as soon as they get ready and get prepared and have those skills, they age right out, right, of advocacy work, or benefits. So definitely resonating with you there, Kaylee. Thank you for that. And Natalie, you responded to her as well. So thank you for that. I just wanted to read that out loud. And then I will let you, Natalie, facilitate some more discussion.
Yeah, so we are going to hop over. Are we ready to hop over into the Jamboard?
I will ask if anybody has anything else. I know there's a couple people that had their hand up, I think. So I didn't know if they wanted to chime in.
Yeah, Michael. I think I saw Michael and
Yeah.
Kayla when they both the same
Yeah,
time.
I just wanted to say, because added to the restrictions, one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if it's the same in you guys' state, but it's something I've tried to stray away from in my advocacy and bring notice to, is that if you don't speak a certain way in your advocacy, if you don't look a certain way, you're not going to get recognized, or they're not going to utilize you. And I recently got asked to do this opportunity. I've been studying with my state because some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not. We had a death of a young man in a residential facility, which has stirred the pot federally throughout the entire country. So I've been actively working with numerous agencies and my state agency to redesign our CCIs and, CPS and many different aspects of our services. And they wanted me to speak on the panel, and the whole panel was geared that they had lived experience youth, but I'm grown, and they had some parents that had lived experience. And the whole time while we're going through this thing, they're trying to script it where it only talks about the positive, and for me, some of you guys may know me, I'm all for yeah, this was great and what have you, but the reality is there's a big portion of people's experiences that isn't great, that needs to be heard in order to get to that truth, in order to get to that better place, and time after time when I'm asked to speak or when something else I'm coming to do, they're trying to script it instead of letting that person share their truth. And I feel like that's why they don't utilize that many young people, because they don't want them to be pure honest. That's why they don't utilize people who are in these group homes or in the facilities actively getting abused, because they don't want them to tell something or spill something out, so those are some kind of restrictions that I found, and then even going forward to the fact that, and I spoke about this with Natalie when we were recording, that, they're already put out data points, and I'm forgetting, my brain is having a brain fart, but they already put out data points and surveys explaining that, the brain doesn't develop at a certain age or what have you. Why are we acting still as such when a person reaches 18 that they're good? from their foster care experience when it shows scientifically that the brain, especially when trauma affects it, stunts it at a certain age or may keep them back at a certain point. Not saying that everyone that goes through foster care or goes through trauma is severely stunted, but they're pushed back because they have to heal from that in order to get to a certain point as far as adulting. So when someone is 25, they may truly be at 21, mentally and far as healing and stuff like that. And that may keep them away from being fully functioning in their adulthood. And I feel like there should be more support, and there isn't more support, but I feel like they utilize the data or those surveys when it's beneficial to them instead of, sharing it towards the truth or when it's beneficial to us. So that's all I had to say.
I'm over here waiting for a mic drop on that one. I need a Zoom mic drop emoji. Thank you so much for sharing, Michael. I connect with that. Oh, I want to point out every place that I connect, but you already know because we talk about this. But I see Kayla also has a raised hand. I want to get Kayla in on this conversation too.
Yeah, I am so sorry I am late. One of our main agencies actually had a meeting up until 7. And so there is some exciting stuff for one of our IL agencies going on. But I will say I have some mic dropping moments too. The state of Indiana is in disarray as far as our older youth. One of our older youth was fired for no reason from an advisory position, like advising us younger youth. And like our professional advisor is like utter crap. And especially throughout COVID, like for those of us that have gotten sick and then been leaders in our regions, we have still been expected to show up to lead our meetings. And literally our advisory board, because of the one youth getting fired and then another youth quitting, is down to like maybe 2 active members for the entire state. And I was very cautious with what I said on the group chat because I don't know if my peers want to be as vocal, but stuff needs to change because I literally went to like our main like YAB agency, which is Foster Success. I'm not afraid to drop their name. I just went to a meeting with them on Tuesday with another youth because we had our annual conference. And one of their leaders that was leading was experiencing active homelessness. And the Friday after that conference, they left the youth to go sleep on the streets and basically turned off all their phones. And we were not able to get a hold of them. And it took me getting a hold of one of our DCS like higher up directors, like the person literally below Terry Stidgen, to get this addressed. Because while I understand like us youth being in voluntary services, why the hell would we be put in a leadership position for a conference, be interviewed by a news agency, and then be turned out to the streets? I don't care if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever. That it's crazy. And Foster Success is getting too comfortable with their irresponsible actions. So with that being said, I just wanted to say that because I know it doesn't necessarily go on with the guided discussion, but like since COVID, Indiana has been hanging on by a thread. And I know I've met several of you guys at like conferences prior to COVID, and like some of our DCS executives try to go in and say, oh, we're the leaders of like this stuff. And I'm like, no, we're not. You need to be real with yourself. Why the heck would stuff like that happen? And I will say the youth is fine. Like I literally gave like the youth my own clothing because the youth had no clean clothes, was not fed. One of my peers who I went into the meeting with Foster Success opened up her home for the weekend because, no one's on call on the fucking weekend. And I'm sorry for swearing too. I'm really sorry, but I'm like almost shaking right now because like, I don't want to like derail the conversation, but COVID is literally putting child welfare on its last thread. And some states are getting ready to break, and Indiana is one of them. So I just wanted to say that and be real with all of you guys. But yeah, so thank you.
That sounds like a disaster to be dealing with. I am so sorry. I don't know how you're hanging on or how you're handling your support system not supporting you or putting you guys in this situation. It's not what it's supposed to be like. That's heavy.
And I think to some degree too, it does play a part in the discussion that we're having today, because you're talking about, an older youth who, because not only are we talking about aging out of advocacy, but we're also talking about how benefits drop off. And Natalie brought this up earlier, right before you hopped on, about how suddenly when COVID happened, there was all this money for older youth to help them out. And now that's waning off, right? Because COVID's going away, which we know it's really not. But so it's like, well, why was this money here all of a sudden? Why can't it always be here? So we're talking about that type of support too for older people. So thank you absolutely for sharing that. And I'm a neighboring state, a lot of us on this call are from Kentucky. So if there's any way that you can lean on us for support, absolutely. I hate that that's going on.
Yeah, I will say I want to thank you all, because I feel like all of us that are in the Facebook group and then on this call are champions. And I think our next step, to be honest, is to just go to our DCS executives, because I feel like they don't know what's going on. Because if two youth are going into the meeting with professionals who are supposed to be our supports, and we feel unsupported and legitimately crying, it's not a healthy environment. And so I think right now we need to come together as Hoosiers before we can do anything else, because we're really discombobulated at the moment. But I am definitely excited to hear what all of you guys are thinking, because hopefully that'll give me some ideas so I can go back to the troops and rally them so we can get these agencies in order. Because I never thought starting out in advocacy that it would be like this. And then I started seeing youth just disappearing from advocacy. And I come to find out that if you talk about it to these agencies, you start to get blacklisted from stuff. And it's you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the defenseless poor little foster kid on your website and then legitimately fire them or prevent them from getting good opportunities. So yeah, but thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. I know earlier you didn't get to do much of an introduction, but if you wanted to, just real quick, I know you've said your name, but if you want to tell us and you've said where you're from, but your age and what brought you to this discussion and what you hope to get out of it.
Yeah, totally. So I'm Kayla. I am 22. I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm in college for social work. Shout out to my social work people. And I'm really just hoping to get another perspective from this meeting, because I'm one of those people that gets lost in my thoughts. And then it's hard for me to advocate for myself or others and just express myself in a healthy manner. And so I'm really just hoping to get that perspective, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction. And we love that you're here again. Thank you for being here. And everyone else, thank you for your awesome thoughts on this topic. Again, we're talking about aging out of benefits and aging out of advocacy work. So really, really good discussion happening here, getting you guys thinking about stuff. So with that, I'm kind of gonna open our Jamboard, which I will put the link in the chat. You just click on it, and then there's an option to put post-it notes. I'll do a little demo for you guys, just so you can kind of see. And we'll put like thoughts, that you guys are having on one side, and action steps. So how can we change things, or what should be done, just ideas that we have for it on the other side. So I'll go ahead and do that. I don't know. Oh, you already went. Thank you, Natalie. She's awesome. She did that for me. So you guys can use that link there. I'm going to open it here and hopefully it will open. There we go. There we go. Awesome. All right. Can you guys see this? See this screen? I'm seeing. All right. Awesome. So if you look here over on the left side, you can click sticky note. You can choose what color. You can type in whatever you want. I'm not obviously going to put that up there. And then you can, put it on whichever side you want. So if I'm talking and I have a thought that says like, if I want to go, like, I really support what Michael was saying earlier. So, like brain development doesn't occur until, we'll say 25. I don't know what the actual science is, but we know it's older than some of the ages that they're aging us out of advocacy or even benefits on. So that's a thought that I have. And then on the other side, I could maybe put like an action step for how do I, address that with agencies, with lawmakers, or other ways to kind of help with that issue. So yeah, I'll let you guys have at it. And Natalie's gonna kind of facilitate the discussion around that.
So we've got our first thought, which would be brain development doesn't occur until 25, which brought me to a little thought that I feel like I've heard happening constantly all around is we're trying to push for this extension until 26, because that's what Medicaid covers until, if I'm covered on Medicaid until 26 and everyone else is covered on Medicaid until 26 under their parents, shouldn't that extend to all of my other services? So my brain directly went to what are some action steps to making that a possibility. Does anyone have any ideas?
I feel like making a lot of noise is what's helpful when like being impactful. And when COVID happened, especially for those of us that are living in dorms or that had lived in dorms, like when universities were threatening to like kick us out, like making noise, I feel like is what prompted a lot of like, oh, well, maybe they do need more help.
Where are some good ideas of places that will let us, where we can make noise and make it where it will be heard?
News outlets and social media.
Okay.
I was really resonating as well with what Kaylee said, which kind of goes along with this. When we're talking about not only benefits, but advocacy work, a lot of us are cut off at 22 or 23. And even when you start at 16, and what Michael was saying, you're still very in tune with your experience that's happening to you. So you're not able to process a lot of things. Even when you do hit 18, maybe you do independent living if your state has that, or maybe you don't. You're still kind of in tune with that experience, right? You're just learning how to make sense of that, how to properly advocate for your needs and others' needs, and coupled with the fact that your brain is not fully developed yet. And I hate that we see this really big push for younger advocates who are 16 to 22, who, they're really just prospering when they hit that 21 to 22 age, and they're just getting over those experiences and able to advocate for them in a manner that actually promotes change, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And so I think that it's crazy for me to see that there's a really big push for that younger voice, but then also when there is that younger voice there, Kaylee was talking about, like, they don't really believe what younger people are saying. They look at them as they may be uneducated, or looking at them like, why are you so angry? But they're still in tune with that experience. So that's another thing I kind of just wanted to talk about under the brain development. Kind of, it ties in, I think it all ties together.
So I put a couple of them in there. Hold on, because my screen is tripping. How do I? Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So one of the things I put is, the funding and support should be extended to 26 nationally. One thing that I believe is that a lot of the issues we have for our statewide are happening in every other state, because states try to come up with their own idea or translation of what policies is that have been passed on federally. I feel like, and I feel like our legislators, because I've done Shadow Day, I've done stuff with Foster Club, I've done stuff with Think of Us, and they tell you to get in front of your legislator, and the legislator, they sometimes will listen, but then they pass something, and then states are like, yeah, no, that don't really fit our agenda, and I feel like, that go hand in hand with the other thing that I put, transitioning out lasts longer than 14 to 21. And you think about my personal experience, I spent majority of my time in group homes and residential facilities. Institutionalization was a very real thing for me. I was in over 40 different residential facilities, including juveniles, jails, and placements. And it was expected of me to just adapt into society when they don't even expect people who've done criminal crimes to just integrate into society. Like I went from when I went in, there was flip phones, to when I came out, there was iPhones. So I just, it's appalling when I think of these things, and I'm like, which brings to the action step that I put in there is, our voices are stronger together, rallying together, and I know we face many difficulties as alumni. Some of us are like, well, it ain't really affecting me. Some of us are like, well, my state is doing this, this good, or what have you. But I feel like youth and older alumni needs to rally together to make these changes. Because if we're not one voice united, they're going to speculate, and they're going to put like, well, these people ain't going through that, so why? They may not even be in the age range yet to even feel what we're feeling, so they can't really speak to it. But it's up to us as alumni to educate and also pre-warn, because the reality is some people are getting put out on the street. Like I'm getting calls when I'm doing peer support nationally and in my state, like, hey, do you know of any shelters that are good and what have you? I'm like, first of all, why is the shelter the first result? Like, y'all didn't come up with a plan? Like, where was the FTM? Like, where was the plan when this person was 16, 17? Y'all knew this person was aging out by then. Like, y'all knew he was, why wasn't there things going on? So there's so many different facets. And, I feel like for me, I'm a person where I'm over the fact of putting this in someone else's hands, which is why I created my podcast, which is why some of you guys see my fundraiser. Like, I'm trying to, like, if ain't nobody gonna do it for us, I'm gonna do it then, and I feel like that's the mindset we need to have far as these things, instead of having other agencies like Think of Us or all these other people, bring up initiatives. We need to be the people that are fronting those initiatives as a alumni base and alumni sourced, voice. That's all I got to say, yeah.
Again, those are like very, very powerful observations that you're putting out there, and I love it. So thank you for that. I think a lot of us can connect with that to some degree on here, just off either our personal experiences or what we've seen in our state. I know that there's a few more. I'm not sure who all put them up there. So if anyone wants to read theirs or talk about it, I'm open for that. I know I just put one up there that talks about, as older advocates, system workers and policymakers kind of look at us as like stuck in our experience or like not able to like get over it, and I think that's not a great perspective for them, because I don't think a lot of us older alum are advocating because we're not over our experience or we're still mad. We're advocating because it's still going on for people who are in it. And it's not fair that, we are having the same conversations over and over and nothing is happening. So, and I want to give an example though, too, that Natalie and I don't know if anyone else on this call, but our states were trying to participate in Foster Youth Voice Month with the state of Florida. And they were like, oh, we're looking for blogs or help from people who are 22 and under. And Natalie really called them out and said, hey, like, why are you dissing my experience? Why are you saying my experience is expired just because I'm 23 or older than that? So I think, and that just goes into it, I just don't understand the mindset of why older individuals are cut off from things like that.
One thing that I kind of wanted to piggyback off of what you just said, though, is like, I feel like that also perpetuates the like extreme fear of aging out, because I remember being 20 and I had a couple of friends that were also my age, or they're the same age as me, but like we would go to like our IL workers and just start crying because like they, like, while getting older itself isn't always scary, getting older is scary, regardless if you've been in foster care or not. And so, like, I just think that the entire country, like, is having this huge disconnect because when their own children are 18, 19, 20, 25, whatever, those children still need help nowadays. Like, I have a coworker who is 25, and when she does overtime on the weekends, she has her daughter go to her mom's house. Well, not everybody in foster care is a mom. So what about those like parents that want to provide for their children, give them everything that they never had, and then don't have access to those resources and stuff?
And that was in your state just recently?
Yes, like daycare itself is one of the biggest struggles in Indiana because like DCS can make all the referrals they want, but that doesn't mean that there are any daycares that are accepting those referrals for like the vouchers and stuff. And daycare itself is so expensive. You need another part-time job just to pay for it. Like, I don't know what your guys' rates are in your guys' states, but like I was talking to my best friend about my godson's daycare, and if it weren't for her voucher that she got from DCS, then like my godson wouldn't be in daycare. And if your child's not in daycare and you don't have a partner that can be home with them, how can you work? And then how can you pay for your own groceries? And then how can you pay for your rent, etc.? And so it's kind of this vicious cycle or slippery slope of like just not the right resources being implemented where they're needed.
There is something on here at the bottom. It's a pink sticky note. Who put that one there? Because I wanted someone to kind of like elaborate.
I put that there. Like there's just been a lot of gaslighting, and like also at the same conference that I had briefly touched base on, there was some like physical aggression, like passive aggressive physical aggression, like professional like workers, like a social worker who doesn't have experience, who's been a social worker for like over a decade, physically got into a youth's face and was screaming at them. Like, and she did that to like a few different youths, and there were no like repercussions for that. And I know that if there would have been like video proof or like physical evidence of that, like if that would have gotten reported to the NASW, her license would be under review, if not revoked. Because like I'm in school for my BSW right now, and like I can't tell you how many times they've had us go over our code of ethics, and like what is expected of us. And regardless of how stressed out you are about your job, that gives you no right to be physically aggressive with anyone. And like, so as like with that specific instance, I would love to go to the NASW and be like, hey, this is something that's going on that's not chill, you know. But there's no physical proof, and the individuals that happened to are not comfortable talking about it, which is totally understandable. And I respect all of their boundaries and privacy. I just think like it's crazy how stuff like that can happen, because I feel like stuff like that eventually escalates to stuff like the extreme violence and like congregate care leading up to fatalities.
So in that discussion, one of the first, my brain goes to, well, yeah, I don't blame them for not wanting to tell, because if I tell on my group home staff, then they're going to retaliate against me and it's going to be even bigger of a hell. So how would we protect youth from the retaliation of holding agencies accountable for these behaviors? Would that be something that we would want to get like the state's ombudsman offices a part of? Or what would be like the neutral party that would be like safe to protect from retaliation in this case?
So I'm not sure if any other state has an agency like this, but there is an agency in Indiana called IARCA. It's IARCA. And their job is just that, although I don't think they've ever represented youth going against agencies, because like historically they've typically protected agencies against like unfair treatment from DCS and unrealistic expectations from DCS. But it made me instantly think of them, because that is the type of work that they do as the like neutral third party, and like either negotiating that or escalating it up to even like lawsuits. Like I know that like they've like successfully won lawsuits against DCS.
Okay. What was the name of them again? Just so I can write it, because I'm not gonna remember it.
Yeah, it is IARCA. Here, I'll put it in the chat for you.
Got it.
I kind of wanted to spark a question for an action step as well. How do we get representation for ourselves as older alum? Like, you know, when we're being iced out because we're older from benefits or from advocacy, how do we get that representation?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I know that this has worked for me. I can't speak for nobody else. I bring my own chair. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't be nowhere when you vote. When you voting or saying certain things like, yeah, like I just like, my state knows now. You know, if Michael is involved, don't try it. You know, I pride myself in creating that platform and what have you. And now, you know, I created that for myself. I'm trying to transfer that out to you guys, the state, you know, and what have you. And I've been working with United, and we've been doing like peer-on-peer calls. And I've been hearing like, oh, well, our state is doing this great and what have you. And then I'm hearing from y'all, and I'm like, y'all saying y'all not even involved. So they lying, you know? You know, so it's just very interesting, because when I get on these things and I'm hearing from people, you know, who are actually being affected, or they saying that they're doing this and that for, you know, I'm in the space and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I was just on a call the other day, you know, excuse me, I ain't trying to, you know, call you out or what have you, but this ain't that, you know, you might want to check your numbers, check your references. And, you know, and I try to do it in the most professional way, but I feel like, we have been disrespected for so long, you know, and I feel like we don't need another coordinator or another liaison, you know, to speak for us. we need people of our own selves, that's comfortable enough, because not everybody's comfortable, that's comfortable enough to put themselves out there, for the greater good, and I like, that's one thing I would say I've done for my state. Some people don't like me, but you ain't gotta like me to to get this stuff done, and I've been able to build a connection with my executive director for children's services, and we get on a lot of different calls with each other. I remember trying to build a connection with him and trying to have that conversation, and I just kept getting blocked by his people, so I was like, bump this, found him on LinkedIn, message his direct LinkedIn, and like, hey, I would love to have you on my podcast and to have a conversation. And we connected. Now, like, he calls me directly about different things and stuff like that, and that's something that I've found, that sometimes it's not always the people at the top. It may be those people in the middle that's trying to block you from getting to that person, because they know what that person is actually sitting there really trying to create change, but their overall agenda doesn't fit what that person is trying to do, so that person is being puppeted. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm really trying to enact change, and I need to get to the person who's going to put it into fruition. So that's my thought process. I don't know if anybody else had anything.
I love the bringing your own chair. I mean, that really resonates with me, because so much of the time we're concentrated on, let's talk about how we can get these agencies to authentically partner with people with lived experience, give them a seat at the table. But we're not telling young people, bring your chair to the cookout. Like, what are you doing? So, I think there's some emphasis there that, whether they're authentically partnering with you or not, show up,
I don't know about y'all, but I think we need a part 2 of this. I just like, I'm just sitting here and I'm looking at this list, and I just know that like we actually can map out so many different pieces of this, because that's what our lived expertise does. Imagine that, we're capable. What, who'd have thought, right? So I don't know about y'all or T, but I think we need to make a part 2 of this meeting for us to meet, so we can put together more action steps and really get some more involvement here. What do y'all think?
I think it was great, a great conversation, a lot of different perspectives, useful, knowledgeable perspectives, of course, always welcomed. I enjoyed it a lot. I know I said a lot, but thank you guys for being here. I'll be honest with y'all. I didn't really say this in my introduction, but I started my own business. It's not really, it was really just for tax purposes, because the IRS be coming after you. So if you get money and they don't know about it, you getting in trouble. So I had to do something, but basically just kind of getting paid to do my own advocacy work, creating my own chair per se, after I aged off of the youth council here in Kentucky. And I don't really do directly what they do. Now, obviously I'm involved with advocacy. Obviously I'm on this call with you guys, but I do more of workshops and training people and things like that, educating other people. I mean, that might fall under the umbrella, but with that being said, this was my first discussion, and I'm so happy that you guys showed up and showed some support. Thank you to the people who are from Kentucky who showed up for support. You are definitely seen, and thank you all for giving those experiences and giving that knowledge today. But if people, enough people are interested, I would love to host a part 2 and kind of just elaborate more on things that we're talking about and more action steps and planning, for sure.
Yeah, let's figure out how to make that noise. And hey, Michael, where'd you get your chair? Let's do this. Let's figure out how to bring our chair. Let's figure it out.
I mean, what color is your chair? Because I have a pink fuzzy one and it's really comfy, and I'll bring it to wherever we need to go. So
I'll get one. I'll do it.
So
definitely any way that I can support all of you. And I truly mean it. Any way that I can support all of you, I'm here for it. Part 2, part 12, individual work, please let me know. My DMs are open. My contact, I will show up for you guys. And I wanted that to be heard, for any of you guys. So thank you for having me here, and thank you for listening.
Any other final thoughts before we kind of close out? I know it's been a little over an hour, so I don't want to keep you guys. I know on the East Coast it's getting later and I'm hungry. So final thoughts from anyone? What
I
about
just wanted to say thank you again, because like I missed seeing all of like my peers from different states. And like I don't know if you remember me, Natalie, but I
girl, don't even.
like I remember it was the conference that you turned 21 at.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I miss seeing people in person, and I totally understand like COVID has spun our world upside down. And so I'm excited, and I feel for the first time in a while like I've been seen as an older youth. So thank you guys.
Always be seen, baby.
Absolutely. I did want to ask right before we head out, the individuals who are kind of like allies who said they didn't have lived experience, but were here to listen and stuff. How did you guys think that the conversation went?
Oh, I think one dropped off.
Oh, that's okay.
I think it's just me. I worked in residential when I was 22, which is where all of this started, and I had no business doing that. I was not equipped to deal with it, and I did my fair share of, not treating kids with the respect that they really needed and deserved when they were put in residential. So Kayla, I want to thank you for putting that sticky in the board. I actually do think that I and my colleagues do actually need to be held accountable for the ways that we messed up when we were young also, and doing jobs that we had no business doing. So I think talking to people who did awful stuff and have sort of tried to figure out how to come to terms with it in a way that makes it better would be good. But the other thing that strikes me is none of this was particularly surprising. This sort of resonates with a lot of what I see as someone who is not somebody who has lived experience with foster care. It resonates with my experience as an employee of the system, and it makes me angry. And as a researcher, there is sort of only so much I can do, but I can show up and listen, and I think that's at least enough of a start. So I would love to come to part 2. I do think bring your own chair is a great tagline. And
if I use that, I'm definitely calling out Natalie and Michael, got to give credit where credit's due. And
great. And I'm wholly in favor of foster youth making more noise and being a little more politically organized as a force, because you have a kind of expertise that not a single social work or child welfare expert in this country has. And I'm just here to support however I can. I think this was a really useful and interesting conversation, and I would love to offer more support.
Thank you for adding that piece. So many times from my state, I've been told, no, we can't enforce or teach them politics. No, we need to stay neutral. And it's actually, no, politics control our life. So we maybe should be involved and we should know what's going on. I just thank you so much for just really validating that, because we're all validating that within our own circle, right? Hey, it's our lives, this policy impacts us, but for someone else that's not some system impacted to be no, you guys should be politically involved, you guys should be active in this. Thank you, appreciate that.
You should be. This is a political problem. Children are always politicized. We see that more than ever. The fact that the Supreme Court gets to make whatever kinds of decisions they want about the lives of kids. And for those of you who are not sort of following the Supreme Court obsessively like I am, there is another challenge for ICWA, for the Indian Child Welfare Act, that's coming up for the Supreme Court that I am very scared about. I will talk to people about doing an amicus brief for it, but it's asinine to assume that the things that the state is doing are somehow apolitical just because kids are involved. It's ridiculous. That can't, it's absolutely ridiculous.
You mean a business that is actually like $1 billion business? Children? Like, imagine, like in all different spheres.
I could talk for hours about this. I have many thoughts about it, but nothing that I say will ever be as honest and as important as what you all have to say. So I'll leave it there.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I'm definitely going to follow up with Mary. She does work with my state and I work with her closely on a lot of projects, just to kind of see how she thought it went too. But if you guys are okay with it, I would love to publish this on Facebook for it to get seen by individuals who did not attend, or just to make noise, like we're talking about, putting it on social media, using it. And so I can definitely send it to all of you guys as well. If you want to keep it, use it somewhere, I'm down for that. And again, just thank you all for being here. Are you guys good with like using this to make noise though?
Definitely.
Let's make some noise, baby.
Hey. All right, well, we'll do it. I'll get with Natalie and we'll kind of talk about, creating a follow-up discussion for this and definitely keep you guys in the loop for that.
Thank you all so much for being here. And please be here next time.
Yes. Hopefully we'll get some more next time. I'm gonna try to plan it a little far in advance. I know this time was like 2-3 weeks, but
definitely.
We're just
feels, when you want to get something done and you want to get something out there and make some moves, you just go for it, right?
Right. But yeah, so we'll do something. We'll get something done.
I have a question though before we hop off.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there will be a part 2 because everyone seems super pumped about it. Would it be okay if I sent this like a flyer, if there's another one created, to like the IL agencies in the state to get more youth here? Because I'm not sure like how many youth, like younger youth and older youth, are in our Facebook group chat. I know that we got a couple that have like vetted out, but like not a lot of Hoosiers that are still active in Indiana are just on that. So would it be okay if I just send it to my people?
I think the more the merrier. It doesn't really, honestly, like this is open. You obviously see people who are here from age 16 to I'm not sure Mary's age, but she works with the state, so she's kind of got like a different role there. But just anyone can be an ally, honestly. And so whether they're young and have lived experience, whether they're young and don't have lived experience, whatever, I think part of making noise is always getting those allies and getting more people to be involved and getting more people to be aware. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day if you're on a different time zone or night. I think a lot of us here are on Eastern, so we're probably about to go eat dinner or something.
Go eat.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm mountain time, by the way. It is still dinner time. So I would just like to say,
Okay.
I'm not on the East Coast, but your girl's still hungry, okay?
Yeah.
She's still hungry.
Facts. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much for being here. Be productive.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.